In a city shrouded in enigma, art whispers tales of brilliance and theft through the cobblestone streets. Here in Amsterdam, the threads of a bold heist weave into the saga of a painter whose soul was a battleground of light and dark. Aughie Durham emerged from darkness, waltzed with the law on the edge of shadow and sin. His chronicle, one of minor misdeeds, crescendoed into a caper that would brand him in the annals of notoriety. Vincent van Gogh, the embodiment of a starry night, channeled the tempest of his mind into strokes of raw, haunting beauty. His existence, painted in the stark hues of passion and despair, bequeaths us a legacy echoing through the corridors of time. Among the myriad of masterpieces, View of the Sea at Scheveningen and Congregation leaving the Reformed Church in Nuenen stood as silent witnesses to his evolving style. Yet their tranquility belied the storm to come, a storm born from the desire to possess such unparalleled beauty. Driven not by a love for art, but by the thrill of the heist and the lure of the underworld's acclaim, Aughie and his accomplice chose their targets with a pragmatist's eye. Their heist was not just a theft, but a challenge to the sanctity of art itself. In the shadowy game of Amsterdam's underworld, Aughie Durham found himself in search of a buyer for the stolen Van Goghs, artworks that could serve as bargaining chips for leniency in a world where justice could be negotiated. It was Cor van Hout, a figure draped in notoriety from past exploits and narrow escapes, who surfaced as a potential conspirator. Known for his prowess in navigating the murky waters of Amsterdam's criminal labyrinth, his life's narrative was as intricate as the masterpieces he sought to acquire. With a history painted in bold strokes of ambition and survival, Van Houte engaged in a silent waltz with Durham. Under the cloak of night, they struck a deal, an exchange of priceless art for the promise of wealth. These masterpieces, much like chess pieces in the grand strategy of underworld dealings, held the power to bargain for freedom or favor in the eyes of the law. The day following their fateful pact, Van Houte, a man who had danced with danger and lived to tell the tale, found himself facing his final curtain. The man who once moved through the shadows unscathed was ensnared in a lethal trap, his life cut short before the sun could rise on their nefarious plans. The paintings, now orphans of their would-be guardian, remained floating in the criminal ether, their fate as uncertain as the shifting allegiances within the world that sought to claim them. In this realm, art becomes more than beauty. It becomes a token of power, a means to sway the scales of justice, offering those entangled in its web a chance at a lighter sentence, a whispered promise of a return to the light from the depths of the dark. The plot thickened when Aki's phone rang, the caller on the other end known in the Amsterdam underbelly as Pinocchio, a moniker that belied the weight of his presence in the criminal hierarchy. Familiar with Aki's world, Pinocchio swiftly finalized the acquisition of the Van Goghs. While his nickname fluttered through the channels of law enforcement, his deeper connections remained shrouded in the city's murky veil. Pinocchio, a name whispered with a blend of caution and respect, was none other than Raffaele Imperiale, a figure who had woven himself into the fabric of Amsterdam's darker side over a span of 12 years. Imperiale, proprietor of coffee shop Rockland, had established a haven where tourists would casually inhale the Amsterdam experience. Yet, behind the smokescreen of legality, Imperiale was a kingpin with roots that burrowed deep into the soil of the Neapolitan Camorra. The Camorra, a syndicate as old as the cobblestones of Naples, operated with a reach that extended far beyond the sun-drenched piazzas of Italy. Their history was a tapestry of power, violence, and artful dodges from the law, woven through generations. They were masters of the hidden, orchestrating their empire with a blend of traditional influence and modern brutality. In this clandestine world, art became more than a masterpiece. It was currency, leverage, and sometimes a lifeline to those seeking favor in the eyes of a court or a reduction in their penance. It was not the brush of an artist, but the trace of DNA, a biological signature that Aki unwittingly left behind. A forgotten hat became the chink in his armor, leading hounds of justice to his doorstep. As the noose of the past tightened, the very threads of Aki's fate were woven by this single, overlooked artifact. Caught in the web he helped spin, Aki faced the music, a melody composed by his own hand. The mystery of the missing Van Goghs, inching closer to resolution with each strand of unraveling DNA. And with that, the man who thought he'd danced away in the shadows was pulled into the glaring light of day. The truth of the stolen art one step closer to being laid bare for the world to see. Pinocchio, in the twisted fable of the Amsterdam underworld, wielded the Van Goghs not merely as trophies but as pawns in a strategic gambit for grace from justice. It was beneath his father's kitchen, a space once filled with the innocence of familial life, that the stolen Van Goghs awaited their part in the silent barter, a deal poised to balance the scales, art in exchange for leniency, beauty for mercy. Recovered from their ignoble vault, the paintings were emancipated from the underworld. A story of art's unintended odyssey, echoing the strange and uncanny paths woven by those who move in the world's hidden crevices. As the night deepens, so does the mystery, reminding us that even in the darkest shadows of crime, the light of art's redemption shines undimmed.